Hey guys, it's Dr. Justin Marcagiani here. Today's video is going to be on slow motility and constipation. Is it preventing you from healing your gut? Yes, it is. We're going to go into why. We're going to talk about what the underlying physiological imbalances are and kind of next steps. All right, so let's dive in. If we're having a hard time evacuating our bowels, right, we have slower motility. We got to make sure we're moving our bowels in about 18 to 24 hours. We're passing all the food that we ate 18 to 24 hours ago through. That's really, really important out of the gate. You can always do a transit time test where you do something like some activated charcoal or some beets or some red beets. Very good as well. And then you want to be able to see either that black stool on the charcoal or that red stool with the beets in about 18 to 24 hours later. Charcoal can kind of slow it down a little bit. So right in that time frame, so to speak. We want good, healthy transit time. That's a sign that the food's moving through your body and you're absorbing a lot of the nutrients. It's not going too fast where it's turning green or it's on the diarrhea side because you're flushing things out and you're losing electrolytes. But it's not so long where you're also potentially reabsorbing toxic debris, whether it's endotoxins, mycotoxins. Half of your stool bulk is about bacteria. So if we're reabsorbing a lot of bad bacteria, that's also going to stress out our body, stress out our immune system. And again, 80% of our immune system's in our gut. And so if we stress out our immune response, there's a chance that we're just going to be taking energy and resources away from our adrenals, our thyroid, our detoxification system, and we are essentially putting it there because of this immune stress. So we got to make sure we have good, healthy motility on that side. Also, we remove a lot of toxins via our stool, right? Hepatobiliary wise, that means liver, gallbladder. You dump out toxins like how a lot of the old mold medications that worked on kind of mold detox, like the cholestyramine, they worked on binding up things that were dumped out via the gallbladder. It was a bile salt sequestering compound because they knew there's a lot of toxins, especially mold toxins, that could be dumped out. And so it binds it up. Well, guess what? If you have slow transit time, you may be reabsorbing a lot of those mold toxins. So if you have mold issues, you really got to be on top of it. If you have heavy metal issues, you got to be on top of it. So one of the first things I try to do is I try to make sure we're digesting and breaking down our food, because food not broken down well can slow down transit time. So we want to have good digestion on the food side. We want to have good acids as well, good enzymes as well. Both are important. And acids are really important because hydrochloric acid acids, they lower the pH, right? Acid pH is like 1 to 6-ish. Stomach's around 1.5 to 2.5, right? That acid does two things. It lowers the pH. It activates proteolytic enzymes in the stomach via pepsin, pepsinogen to pepsin, and other proteolytic enzymes. It sets the table for the pancreas and the gallbladder working properly. Also, hydrochloric acid is antimicrobial in a sense. Bacteria and bugs hate acidic environments. That's why birth control pills are commonly known to cause yeast issues, because birth control pills alkalinize the vaginal area. And so that's why you get yeast and BV issues there. And so hydrochloric acid makes it harder for bugs to grow. It helps activate, that migrating motor complex, helps activate the pancreas to work properly, helps activate the gallbladder and your emulsifying fat digestion to work properly as well. And then again, we have good enzyme and acid, or good enzyme and bile salt function from our gallbladder on the bile and fat digestion, our pancreas on the proteolytic enzymes like trypsin, chymotrypsin, lipase. That helps break down the food. The more we can break that food down into its smaller constituent kind of peptide forms, right, the smaller molecules, the easier it is for that motility to kind of move it along. Now, again, if you're chronically stressed, right, that adrenal sympathetic overdrive is going. When the adrenals are going, that sympathetic system is running, that decreases the vagus nerve and the parasympathetics. And so parasympathetics kind of help that migrating motor complex. So you can do good breathing exercises, whether it's into the nose, out to the mouth. You can do 4 seconds in, into the nose 4, out to the mouth 4. You can just do appreciation, gratitude, prayer. That gets the parasympathetic vagus nerve going. You can also just sing, put your favorite music on, sing. That gets the parasympathetic vagus nerve going. You can gargle too. These are all other techniques that you can do to get that parasympathetic vagus nerve response going. You can also digest or utilize bitters like chamomile, like gentian, like ginger, like anise, like orange peel. Right? These are nice things that get your digestive secretion going. They actually can help stimulate your migrating motor complex. Things like ginger have shown to be better than medications for prokinetic medications. They're shown to be better than that. Actually, probiotics can as well. Probiotics are a double-edged sword. If you are very sensitive to FODMAPs and you're probiotic sensitive, it can also make you feel worse. Sometimes it can actually help it though. Some people are on the fence. And so it's one of those things where it's not like, oh, yes, that would help. It's kind of on the fence. Probiotics tend to do better when you've cleared out a lot of the bad bacteria. It's like going into a whole area in your backyard, there's a bunch of weeds, and you start throwing down seeds in that area. You're better off, scalping that area, pulling the weeds up, and then seeding it. Tends to do a lot better, a little more organized and cleaner results, less chance of having delactate sensitivity and probiotic intolerance and brain fog and cognitive issues and more bloating and gas. So when you have all this constipation, right, why is it? So it can be from the food allergies. It can be just from the food creating inflammation, having a food allergy response, having the undigested food particles from that poor enzyme acid bile salt issue going into the bloodstream. That starts to see our immune system starts to see these undigested proteins, and it can create immune responses to it. Molecular mimicry. Also, just having those bad bugs in our gut can increase methane gases that can throw off our motility and make it go longer. So if you have foul-smelling gas, foul-smelling, flatulence, that's a sign that you probably have some methane issues. You could have hydrogen. Hydrogen tends to be more on the diarrhea side, but it can go back and forth both sides. It's possible. Now, I would say after that, you got to look at what kind of bugs are going on, because if you have H. pylori, that could set the whole domino rally up in the stomach to fail because you have lower stomach acid, you have a lot of gut inflammation, you're not quite breaking things down. You could also, I saw 2 patients today with Giardia, and that could easily be in the gallbladder, and that could be affecting fat digestion from happening well. You could just be really stressed, and then you're not making enough enzymes and acids. And some patients, we get their stress down, just have them having some good diet and lifestyle techniques, work on the adrenals, get sleep better, get some enzymes and acids going, and they start to feel a lot better, and their digestion and motility gets a lot better too. We may use things like magnesium, triphala, different nutrients to kind of just give the motility a little bit of a bump. I always draw a line with patients. Is this root cause? Is this palliative? Well, sometimes that's going to be more on the palliative side, but it's helpful because if we work on all the root causes while we evacuate those toxins, the fact that we have less toxins potentially being reabsorbed actually takes stressors out of our stress bucket. And so I tell patients, my job is to be a stress detective. Here's our stress bucket. Here are all the things that are interplaying here: physical, chemical, emotional, right? Could be exercise issues, chronic pain, emotional stress, work, family, friends. It could be food allergens, low stomach acid or enzymes, bile salt insufficiency, H. pylori, food allergens. All of these stressors can come into play. It could be the toxins from all the reabsorption from low motility. If we pull some of those stressors out, that can actually help the body start to heal a little bit. And so we draw that line. Palliative, meaning it's fixing things from a symptom standpoint, versus root cause. And so that's definitely more palliative, but it does take some of that root cause stress off while we fix it. But we got to make sure we get to the root cause on that. Again, a lot of times it's better than, let's say, Metamucil, that's like, propylene glycol osmotic, or it's better than some kind of a laxative or like a colace, right? It's still a lot better than those things because you're using a nutrient that half the population is deficient in anyway. So it's not overly bad, but we always want to be clear what's root cause and what's not. And sometimes the root cause stuff takes a little bit of time. And so it's nice to have some runway so we can get some symptomatic relief while we actually fix things here on this side of the fence. And so we could have SIBO too. We may even see things like bacterial overgrowth. That may not even show up on a stool test. We may see things like Citrobacter, Pseudomonas, Klebsiella, Proteus, Morganella. We may not. We may just run an organic acid and see things like hippurate, benzoate, delactate. We may run a lactulose breath test, and we just may see methane and hydrogen gases, above 20 total, or hydrogen above 15, or methane above 8, right? Whatever those numbers are, we may look for those as well. So you got to really look at what the root cause is. We have a lot of tests to really assess, so we're not guessing. And you want to quantify, because some patients may get halfway through, meaning symptom resolution, if they're starting at 0, this is kind of baseline 0, 100% is optimal. They may be in the middle after round 1 of addressing everything, let's say 2-3 months in. So it's nice to know, are we heading in that right direction? It gives us that confidence. Sometimes we have to chip away at it and work a little bit deeper. So it's good to have some objective markers that guide us that we're going in the right direction or not.